What is going on, everybody? These puzzles have 6 pieces or less. I'm going to do what I can to make sure this video doesn't drag along, because honestly, these puzzles are jaw-dropping, and you'd be missing out if you don't watch the video. Let's get this going. This is the first puzzle. It's white to move. I'm going to give you 3 seconds to pause the video so you can take as much time as you want to try to figure out what you can, or solve it if you're that good. But white to move. So 1, 2, and 3. The move is that you have to knight to c7, check, because you got to fork the 2. You got to get rid of the queen first and foremost. So the king's going to reply with going to c4, discovery check with the queen on you now. So king c4, check. I'll give you 3 more seconds if you want to pause the video again. 1, 2, and 3. The move is obviously capturing the queen. So after that, the king is going to move down to b3. I'll give you 3 more seconds if you need a little more time to figure out the end of it. 1, 2, and 3. Well, the move has to be knight to a1, tucking, preventing the pawn from promoting, or the king from capturing. So the king's going to get a little closer on b2, and we'll give you 3 more seconds if you need a little pinch more. 1, 2, and 3. Well, we need to bring the other knight back in the party and jump it to b6, and the black king captures the first knight. Almost done. I'll give you 3 more seconds if you need a squeak more. 1, 2, and 3. It is knight to a4, and the king's only got 1 move to b1. I hope you can see this kind of coming to fruition now. I'll give you 3 more seconds if you need a flash. 1, 2, 3. The move is knight to c3, check, and the king comes up to b2. Give you 3 milliseconds. 1, 2, 3. Knight capture pawn. Insufficient material. Draw. Puzzle number 2. It is the least complex out of the 5. Getting it out of the way before we crank things up. So it's white to move, and we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video if you need. 1, 2, and 3. The move is king to c3, and the reason why it's not a pawn move is because if black captures your pawn, it's insufficient material, draw. And if you move your pawn, it's going to get captured one way or another by them marching up their pawn. And don't even think about moving your bishop, because that just allows black to get 1 step closer to capturing your pawn. As I said, the move is king to c3, and black has to play the b pawn to b4, only legal move. Give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. You are in check, and the proper move is king to c4. Black can only move their b pawn again, only legal move, and this time it goes to b3. Give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. The winning move is pawn capture b3, checkmate. Puzzle number 3. It's amazing what you can do with 6 pieces. It is white to move. Give you 3 seconds to pause the video and get a good grip of what's going on over here. 1, 2, and 3. The move we're looking for is knight to f4, and black's reply is b2. If you need a couple seconds, we'll let you pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The move is g6, check, and the king comes down to h6, because if it went h8, that's checkmate in 2 after knight g5. Black's only move is a pawn promotion, and then knight to f7 is checkmate. So the king comes down instead of going up, and we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video if you need some time. 1, 2, and 3. And the pawn marches up to g7, and black's move is promoting that pawn. Queen time. It is white's turn to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause. 1, 2, and 3. The move is pawn promote to knight, check. And the only move that the king has is marching up to h7. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The move is knight to g5, check. The only move for the king is h8. I'll give you 3 more seconds. 1, 2, and 3. The move is knight to f7, checkmate. This is puzzle number 4, and we're turning things up a little bit. White to move, and we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video if you want to take a little time to yourself to study the position. I would recommend doing so. This is a very fun puzzle, and it's very difficult. 1, 2, and 3. White's best move is king to g6, because you're threatening now a checkmate on the back row by moving your rook to the corner on a8. But black has a very clever way of stopping this, and that's bringing the rook over to a4. We'll give you 3 more seconds to pause the video. Take your time on this one. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move is rook to f7. The reason why you can't capture the rook is because that stalemate leaves black with no legal moves. And obviously you can't check in the corner because that would give up the rook, and that would be a losing position for you. So, as I said, the proper move was rook to f7, and black plays another clever move, rook to a6. Check. We'll give you 3 seconds. 1, 2, and 3. Your best move is rook to f6, blocking the check. And black's going to reply with capturing your rook on the f6 square with theirs. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move is capturing the rook with your king. If you captured it with the pawn, that would be a stalemate since the black king has no legal moves. So, after you capture the rook with your king, the black king has 1 legal move, and that's moving to the h7 square. And we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video from here. 1, 2, and 3. The best move is actually promoting to a queen on g8 and checking the king, forcing them to recapture on the g8 square. The reason why pushing g6 is not a winning move, the king can tuck away to g8, and that's a stalemate position if you do not choose to give up the g7 pawn. So you'd have to back out to one of the squares away from the pawn, and once black captures, this is a draw position since you are not in front of the pawn on the 6th rank. So, like I said, it is in fact promoting to a queen, and then black recaptures. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause from this position. 1, 2, and 3. Best move is g6 with the king, and black's king will go to f8. And we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. Should be the last one here. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move is king to h7. And black will just do any random move, and you cover the 3 squares needed for the pawn to promote, and you will win shortly after. This is Johnny number 5. White to move. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. This is a sweet one. I'd recommend doing it just like the last one. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move is king to d5, preventing the bishop from accessing the d4 square. From here, black's going to play the move bishop to a5. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The move is pawn to b6. It is not marching the king down to block the c3 square from the bishop, because the bishop could go up top now on the d8 square. And if you tried marching it to h7, the bishop's just too fast. And even if you tried bringing the king up to e5, then the bishop can just go back to a5, and you can't march the pawn because of the skewer. And it would just be a running back and forth. So, in fact, the proper move is the pawn, And they're going to recapture with the pawn, not the bishop. If they recaptured with the bishop, that would allow you to promote, since your king does cover the D4 square, and it's the only square that the bishop can access the corner. But if they recapture with the pawn, they can still get to the C3 square to access the corner, but it blocks the own path of accessing the top of the board, so it cuts off that route directly. Give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move from here is king to D4 to cut off that C3 square. And the bishop now will drop down to D2. And we'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video here. 1, 2, and 3. The only move you have is marching the pawn to H7. And now the bishop drops back to C1. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The proper move is king to C3. That prevents the bishop from getting on the B2 square. And the black bishop now marches up to G5. We'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. 1, 2, and 3. The winning move is promoting the pawn to a queen finally on H8. Well, that's going to wrap up the 5 puzzles that are 6 pieces or less. I hope that you enjoyed those thoroughly. Drop a comment down below and let me know which one of these was your favorite and which one was the most challenging to you. Thanks a lot. I'll see you on the next.